I call the meeting of the Development Review Board to order, July 7, 2015. Okay, Dan.
First item on our agenda is the minutes from last time.
Any changes? Milt moves to approve. Charles seconds. All in favor? Okay.
Okay, second item on our agenda is the witness oath. We ask anybody that speaks to the board this evening to sign in on the podium over there, and includes the following witness oath statement. I solemnly swear or affirm under the pains and penalty of perjury that the statements I make, testimony I give, and other evidence I submit to the board at the board's public hearing held in this date shall be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. And again, we ask you to sign in on the podium before you speak to the board this evening. Next item on our agenda is disclosure of any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest regarding the matter before the board this evening.
Have any? I don't see any.
None? Okay. Our first and only hearing this evening is Stewart Shops at 636 Main Street. They're seeking development plan and design plan approval for a new gas station and convenience store at that location. This is the second of two required hearings. If the board's satisfied with the evidence submitted this evening, the appropriate motion would be to close the hearing and go into deliberative session to make a final decision. And I see Mr. Potter is here from Stewart's to let us know what's changed from last time. Thank you.
Good evening. Since the last time we met, we've made some adjustments to the plan. One big thing in the last meeting was the setback to the east. We moved the building 5 feet, so now we meet the setback. So now we're approximately 12 feet, and the setback's 10. Some other minor things, the graphic scales were added to the plan. We looked at some traffic trip generation assessment for the site. And based on what we found with the trip manual, that no significant impact will be brought to the site with our development. As far as our hours of operation, we're looking to keep them the same, which was 4:30 to midnight, which is what we are now. I don't know if we have some pictures of some similar stores that I guess it asks for. Shows somewhat of what we're looking to do. Obviously with some additional detail. It has the semi-building down there. What we've also submitted, in a copy that we take out tonight, was the noise level impact study for our rooftop unit and our compressor truck cooler and freezer, which was found to be within the 55 decibels of the required code. After meeting with our neighbor John Mahar, we've added a number of things to the plan. We've agreed to keep the hedge and add additional trees, a shrubbery. We're also going to keep the trees that continue along the property line after the hedge. There's some mature maple trees there, so we agreed that we would work around those. We've also added a 6-foot-high white vinyl fence that would follow the property line from the end of the hedge and into the property line and end at an existing stockade fence that's there. And then we've made a number of changes to the architecture of the building, windows, moldings, all from the HPC comments that we received from the last meeting. Questions?
Chris, you might mention that you've moved the air conditioning units.
Oh, correct, yeah. We originally proposed a new wall-mounted air conditioning units, and from our noise study, we found that doing that, air conditioning would not meet the sound levels. So the only way to meet the sound levels would be to put the unit on the roof and actually have a rooftop unit, which would, now we would have to make a notch inside the roof to house the unit. So those new elevations depict that recess in the back of the building.
Any questions from the board? Bill?
What are you going to do with the old building, the one that you're in now?
It would either be for lease, or I don't know what their plans are, to sell it, or just to.
But you're not going to keep it, you're not going to run it as a Stewart's Hill?
We would move to that new location.
But they'll do something with it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be for lease. It wouldn't be a gas station.
You're not going to have competition?
Anything that would compete with us would not be there.
Ron?
Chris, the fascia on your, over the pumps, canopy,
Yeah.
at 24 inches, right? Is there going to be any writing or any graphics or anything on that fascia?
There's nothing, it's just white.
It's just white.
Actually, we did reduce that based on the HPC comments. We had a 36-inch fascia, we went down to.
Yeah, I see that, it's cool.
And,
One more thing, for Dan, more or less. By having eating places outside, anything in the ordinance, I mean, like a restaurant can have them, but I started to look that up and got distracted, and forgot to get back to it. Is there any kind of
We don't have
rule
any,
for that?
yeah, we don't have any limitations on that.
Nothing on that?
No. I mean, obviously, it's within the purview of the board to consider the impact, but there's no specific regulations that
I'd like
limit
to
it.
find it. Okay, thank you.
You didn't miss it. I will comment that the Historic Preservation Commission did approve the changes that were made, and we're appreciative of the efforts that Stewart's made to
Oh, yeah,
address
that's
their
been
comments.
amenable to most of the things that Johnny and I asked for. Thank you.
Any other questions? John, do you want to say anything?
Yes, my name is John Mahar, and I'm the abutting property owner to the west. And I was just wondering, like Ron was saying about the outside dining, that is definitely a concern to me as far as litter, noise. I think that's going to be an issue for us, people right there on Main Street, having an opportunity to certainly stay there outside for long periods of time. So I think that's one of our big concerns. I don't know, Chris, was there any change on the position of, as Chris and I talked
Yeah.
about that?
I did forget to mention that. That was one thing. The picnic tables originally were on the street side of the building, and based on his concerns, we had moved them to the other side that faces the gas can, so they'd be further away from his parcel. So that was another
I think that'll be a lot quieter, John, because they won't be out in front, they'll be on the side.
That's okay. I mean, for me, that's fine. It's just that with the location where it was previously, I think was a concern. My other concern is that when Stewart's goes in to do the construction with the hedge that's there, we made sort of, Chris has agreed that, the hedge would stay. But I want to make sure that when they do go in to do the construction that, and they, if they get into the root system of the hedge, that the hedge would be replaced so that we have that barrier between the two properties. That's important to us.
And John, just to clarify, because they show it on there as a screen, if it is damaged, they will have to replace it.
Okay, good.
They'll be required to replace it, yeah.
Perfect.
And so we don't even have to make a specific condition because it's shown on the plan as an existing screen and they're not showing it's being removed. If they do damage it, they'll have to replace it.
Okay, good. And is there, did we talk about the fence on the north side? Yeah, that we're all set with that.
Yeah, Yeah, it went right up to the extended edge.
Chris, you just want to put the plan up there and show John where that is, so she feels comfortable?
So we're starting it right here, and going along. This may shift a little bit because of those trees that we're keeping. But we're going to start at the end of the hedge, follow the property line, right up, all the way to this one. This there.
Chris has been excellent. You know, we talked things over. He came over to the property, we walked it. And, he's gone along with all the requests that we've had, so thank you.
John, wait a minute. Bill, you have a question?
Well, John, the question I was going to ask was about the fence around there. I read all the literature and the correspondence and different things, and it seemed that you come to an agreement, but I didn't hear anything mentioned about it until you just brought it up. That it is going to be a barrier around it so people won't be going around. Right. Down their driveway. So that was the question I was going to ask, but that's already been taken care of. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, John? Yes.
There's an existing fence on the north side, right? Already. And one on the north side, the back of the building. Is there an existing fence there? They mentioned they're going to meet the other fence. I haven't looked at it.
Chris, can you maybe show us that? What's existing as far as fencing is concerned?
There's an existing fence on our property, like in about this area. We would remove that. It's kind of fallen down. But there is an existing fence that runs this section here.
And that will remain,
That would be.
you'll tie into that one.
So they're going to tie in?
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There's a section that's off our property, and there's a piece that kind of meanders on and off. Cool. Not sure whose fence it is.
But it's
Chris? No?
Yes, years ago, I own adjoining property there. Years ago, Marhars did have the right of way to it. And they put the fence up and sealed it off, abandoned that right of way going between two buildings, 311, 313 was that building there. Shows it on the map that you have here. So that's the only fence that's there right now.
The reason we blocked that off is just because it was becoming too dangerous.
Yeah.
Coming over from Pleasant Street.
Exactly.
Through the funeral home and to the gas station.
You need to speak? Okay. Come up, state your name, please.
I'm Corinne Lubeck, and I'm in a butter across the street.
You have to sign the slip.
Yeah. Some of the issues I think you've already addressed, the location of the picnic tables are going to be moved to the back of the building.
Side,
To the side. You see the drawing here? It's on that gray area, just to the right of the building.
They used to be on this face of the road, and now they're on this side.
Well, that can still be a potential noise situation, you know, as when the place closes down, people tend to congregate, you know, from the street, so. I don't know. I guess that's something we'll have to see, you know, as it goes on. The other issue that potentially is the lighting, and more specifically over the canopy over the gas pumps. I have gone over to the Cumberland Farms because Dan told me that that's pretty equivalent to the new building there. And the lighting around the store is great. It's pretty low volume, but it's very, very bright over the gas pumps. The canopy is also higher, allowing more of that light to spill out. So I really question if zero candle lights will really be in the Main Street.
Hey, Dan, do you want to mention about the lighting?
Yeah, and it does meet our standards, and if they install it incorrectly, we have a light meter, and they'll have to revise it. So, but what they propose does meet our standards.
So you would meter what it is now and it wouldn't exceed what it is right now?
No, I would meter based on, they've given us a photometric study that shows exactly what the brightness levels will be in different areas, and I would make sure that it meets those levels and doesn't exceed them.
Right, because they had 0 candle lights in the middle of the street on the study that you had showed me.
As far as their lighting is concerned, yes. Yep, you're gonna have some spillover because we have street lighting. It's not gonna be
Right, well,
0.
that's what I mean, if you know what it is ahead of time and it doesn't exceed it, then you know you're not
Yeah.
increasing it by their canopy.
Yes, well, we can go to another location where it's single, just a existing street light and make sure that it's not above that number.
Yeah, because that's the brightest feature of the store. I'm just saying my concerns about that. And then the hours, because Stewart's, up the street used to be 4:30 to 11, now they've increased their hours. Are they going to potentially go 24/7? This is a historic district. All the other buildings and businesses tend to close down, even, downtown by probably 10 o'clock at night, 11. This area doesn't have anything open at that point, so again, that's just something, I don't know what could happen in the future.
If they increase their hours, they would have to get approval from this board.
Okay, and this is a historic district, and, there's more residences around this current location than there was in the previous one. So it's gonna have impact on more families that are, renters. There's, 3 or 4 rental buildings, maybe 5, in the area. So as well as our house and all the rental units there, there's more families that will be impacted by the lighting and noise, people coming and going and car doors, beeping, conversation, if you're trying to get a little sleep to go to work for the next day, it can be a little difficult. When you have downtime of 4.5 hours of building. These are just my concerns. I don't know if we can regulate, what they're gonna do. I guess that's your folks now. Those are my concerns, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Chris, I have a question for you. Come to the-
Let me just speak over here, it's easier than that podium, I'll sign the paper. What about the enforcement from this board? This seems like a good agreement, I think everybody's met everybody's needs. So you're gonna be able to enforce things, or the town will, if things don't go the way the Stewards says they're going to go, correct? This board will, or the town will?
Town will, yep.
So if plans are made, and then they're broken after this thing is built, like a fence or noise or lighting, you guys can come back and say, well, this is what the agreement.
They have to follow the plan, or they'll be, we can issue a notice of violation, yes.
And what does that mean?
It means if they don't correct it within a specific period of time, it's 7 days or more, we can set the time period, then we would go to court to get fines and an injunction.
Well, I think Stewards is a good organization, and I don't think they will, but I was just curious, because there's other projects.
That's how it works, yep.
Been done in town. If I get the paper, could you give me the paper? Thank you.
Dan, typically would that occur if there was a complaint, though? I mean, it probably wouldn't be any proactive enforcement necessarily.
I mean, if it's something that's blatant and we see it, but it is typically mostly complaint driven, yeah.
But I'm just saying, if Mr. Maher finds out after it's built and something hasn't been met, you guys can enforce it.
Yeah, well, for instance, if 10 of his trees died, he would, and I'm sure John would call Chris, and Chris would replace them, but if he didn't, then he'd get a call from me, and we'd start the process, but.
Have you ever gone out and planted trees before, Dave?
I have, but not very often.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Chris, last time I asked you to have them put a graphic scale on the drawings.
Yeah.
They put it on, but you can hardly see it.
It took me about 45 minutes to find it.
Charlie insisted it wasn't there, but I found it.
It is awful light.
Maybe it's invisible ink. We have to heat it with a candle and it pops up. Any other questions? Anyone else? I guess that's it. What's the board's pleasure?
I move that we close the session and go into deliberative session.
Okay. Barry seconds. All in favor? Okay, Chris, thank you.
Give me a shout tomorrow, I'll let you know how we decide. Great. Thank you very much.
New business? Any new business? Anybody want to bring up? We need a motion to adjourn?
I guess I would, just let me just, I just remembered this, Charlie, sorry. We will not have a meeting on the 21st because we don't have anything warned, but we will have a meeting at our first meeting in August. So you guys get a little break in July. Thank you.
Barry, so moved. Okay. Barry moves to adjourn. Charles seconds. All in favor?
Thank you.